Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We are in the Lee Company studios of our respective homes. And as you've probably figured out, my voice ain't great today. Allergies having their way with me. So we're going to try to get through this next couple of hours. But Wade, you may have to do more talking than usual. Wade, you're on mute.
Mark did that on purpose.
Given our off-air conversation.
Yeah, producer Mark knows what he's up to. Yeah, we'll hold down the fort, and allergies are never fun, and hopefully we'll get through the next 2 hours just fine. We got a big show regardless, and I'm excited about it. It should be a fun next couple hours, and we'll get you some hot tea and some remedies, and we'll get you rolling through here.
I tried to do a little something late last night, and it didn't help. But anyway, yeah, we do. I'm looking forward to this show because in the next hour, it is Tuesday, so we will be visiting with Blue Raider voice Chip Walters, getting us caught up on all things MTSU. In our next segment, we're going to have Ben Arthur of NFL on Fox joining us, talking little AFC South as we head toward Thursday's first round of the NFL draft, and a local product catching some fire in some late round draft talk. We'll touch a little bit on that in the next segment as well. Going to talk a little Braves, and we talked about a local product getting the start for the Braves opponent last night. Did not pitch badly, did get the L. We'll talk more about that here in the Braves segment toward the end of this first hour. The grab bag has some interesting items in it. And again, Top 5 Tuesday, we're going to be talking top 5 NBA draft busts. This was something that kind of came up toward the end of the NCAA tournament, where there was a lot of conjecture about what type of pro Zach Edey is going to be. And so that was when that topic kind of germinated. But we'll talk a little bit more about that toward the end of the show. Looking forward to it. Wade, there was something I was going to ask you, and I lost it just that quickly. Tell me what I was going to ask you.
What I think you were going to ask me is, am I excited about the show? And the answer is yes. And you were going to ask me if there was something interesting. I didn't watch any of the Braves and Marlins last night. And that has nothing to do with the fact that it's darn near impossible to watch the games. But there's one interesting tidbit that I am going to bring up during the game, because something caught my eye in that contest that I'm going to see if I could dig in the record books and see if this has ever happened before.
Okay. All right. I'm intrigued. So Wade's got a tidbit.
I got a tidbit, and it's more of a potential grinds my gears, especially if you're a Ryan Weathers fan. You're going to be frustrated with the potential stats that we'll dig up there later. But yeah, it's going to be a fun show. Obviously, chatting with Ben is always exciting. Talking with Chip is an entity in and of itself. And so I'm locked and loaded. Will be a good and you mentioned NBA draft busts, and yeah, I have some thoughts on that. And
okay. Well, good.
I don't know if you meant to bring up some PTSD, but there's at least one selection that will have to be addressed during that topic. So
Wade, locked and loaded, coming at you from P-Town. Looking forward to that. So let's go ahead and get this party started with yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
We kick it off with baseball scores again from yesterday on the diamond. 14-2 was the score, favoring Overton, who defeated Antioch. 9-8 was BGA knocking off Webb School. Bob Jones, Alabama, a 3-1 winner versus Lipscomb Academy. Cane Ridge put up 16 runs, just one for Hunters Lane. Good win for Cane Ridge last night. Independence knocked off Centennial 11-6. Clarksville defeated Beach 4-1. DCA was a 6-2 winner over Clarksville Academy. Columbia Central winning 7-5 versus Coffee County. It was 22-2. Favoring the good guys. Columbia Academy defeated Providence Christian last night. Again, 22-2 was your score there. Cornersville defeated Santa Fe in baseball action yesterday, 13-6 in that district showdown. Another district matchup saw Culleoka get a 6-3 win versus Hampshire. Davidson Academy 9-0 over Friendship Christian. Dixon County sweeping Kenwood 15-0 in game 1, 21-1 in game number 2. Big series win. Yeah, ouch indeed for Dixon County, putting up what is that? 36-1, your aggregate score for the soccer buffs out there. East Nashville defeating Stratford 24-1. Summit was a 14-4 winner over Franklin. Good Pasture 18-0 over Ezell Harding. Middle Tennessee Christian versus Grace Christian Franklin 7-6. Middle Tennessee Christian winning that ball game. Mount Pleasant won over Hickman County 14-1 yesterday. A pitcher's duel, as it were, between Lawrence County and Franklin County. Lawrence County with a 1-0 win. Lawrence County's been playing some great baseball lately in that district. White House defeating Macon County 5-2. Hume Fogg 18-0 over Maplewood. Lawson defeating Martin Luther King 15-3 was your score there. Eagleville 10, Moore County nothing. It was Murfreesboro Central 11, Giles County 1, Nashville Christian 5, Mount Juliet Christian 2. Page a 3-1 win over Brentwood last night. Nolensville a 6-5 win over Ravenwood. Rossview defeated Kirkwood 10-0. Clarksville Northeast a 4-3 winner over Springfield. Shelbyville knocked off Spring Hill 7-2 was your final there. University School of Nashville defeating Franklin Road Academy 4-3. Westmoreland wins it 15-3 versus Clay County, and Watertown knocked off York Institute 9-5 yesterday.
In softball action on Monday, Christian Community with a 10-9 win over Clarksville Christian. Columbia Academy in 3 innings defeated Webb School 16-0. Coverage on MainStreetMurray.com. Stewart's Creek with a 7-4 win over Cookville. It was Donaldson Christian 13, Davidson Academy 1. Forest doubling up Summertown 4-2. Friendship Christian with a 12-0 win over Ezell Harding. Good Pasture taking a pair from Mount Juliet Christian 12-0 and 16-0. Green Hill defeated Hendersonville 9-4. Loretto with a 4-3 win over Lewis County. Independence defeated Marshall County 11-4. It was Wayne County 15, Mount Pleasant 6, Lawrence County 7, Murfreesboro Central 4. Nashville Christian with an 8-3 win over Clarksville Academy. Shelbyville down Spring Hill 9-6. Macon County with a 9-2 win over Station Camp. It was Ravenwood 6, Summit 4. Columbia Central with an 8-1 win over Warren County. Gallatin 20, Westmoreland 5, and Greenbrier 12, White House 5. On the pitch, it was Columbia Academy defeating Middle Tennessee Christian 6-4 in boys soccer action. Also, Portland with a 10-1 win over White House. And in Major League Baseball action last night, as we mentioned, the Atlanta Braves opened their 3-game series against visiting Miami with a 3-0 win over the Marlins.
To today's schedule we go. These games beginning at 4 o'clock. Cane Ridge traveling to Hunters Lane tonight. Watertown will be at Smith County. McGavock visiting Hillsboro. 4:30 showdowns between East Nashville at Stratford. South Haven Christian at Ezell Harding. Davidson Academy taking on Franklin Road Academy. FRA, your host school there. Joe Burns at Good Pasture tonight. It'll be Maplewood at Hume Fogg. MLK is at Lawson. Brentwood Academy at MBA. 5 p.m. start times now as Father Ryan traveling to CPA tonight. Innsworth is at Pope John Paul II. 5:30 first pitch as Tennessee Heat traveling to Trousdale County. Red Boiling Springs visiting Whites Creek tonight. 6 o'clock start says Siegel travels to Blackman. West Creek is at Clarksville Northwest. Moore County visiting Eagleville. It'll be Giles County playing host to Murfreesboro Central Magnet tonight at Sam Davis Park. Culleoka is at Hampshire tonight. Smyrna at Laverne. Stewart's Creek traveling to Lebanon this evening. Riverdale is at Oakland. Should be a good showdown there. Middle Tennessee Christian at Rockvale. Cornersville is at Santa Fe. 6:30 start times tonight now. We have Friendship Christian at BGA. Page at Brentwood. Montgomery Central is traveling to Clarksville tonight. Springfield is at Clarksville Northeast. Coffee County is at Columbia Central. Lawrence County in that return matchup versus Franklin County over in Winchester tonight. Centennial is at Independence. Antioch traveling to Oakwood. Rossview at Kirkwood this evening. Hickman County will visit Mount Pleasant. Ravenwood will return the matchup versus Nolensville. Nolensville will be your host team tonight. Spring Hill is at Shelbyville. Columbia Academy is at Summertown tonight. Should be a fun contest between those two teams. Macon County and White House will get it on in White House to kick off our 7 o'clock start times tonight. Other games at 7 include Westmoreland at Cheatham County, Wilson Central at Cookeville, East Robertson at Creekwood, Beach at Gallatin, Mount Juliet at Green Hill, and final 7 p.m. start time, Clarksville Academy at Hendersonville. We do not have a start time listed, but at some point today, Franklin will travel to Summit. Muted, Mo.
Sorry about that. I muted myself because I was coughing over here. Sorry. Softball, 4 o'clock. Overton's at Cane Ridge. Macon County's at White House. Battleground Academy hosts Middle Tennessee Christian at 4:30. Also at 4:30, Davidson Academy is at Clarksville Academy. Pope Prep goes to Christ Presbyterian Academy. Good Pasture hosting Friendship Christian. And Murfreesboro Central is at Lipscomb Academy. 5 o'clock, double dip. Franklin Road Academy plays 2 at Columbia Academy. Again, the first one starts at 5. Also at 5, Loretto goes to Mars Hill Bible School of Alabama. Nashville Christian is at Mount Juliet Christian. Page hosting Ravenwood. Station Camp travels to Portland. Santa Fe hosting Richland. Kirkwood goes to Spring Hill. Kirkwood goes to Springfield. Warren County is at Spring Hill. Frank Hughes is at Zion Christian. Brentwood hosting Summit. South Haven Christian goes to Clarksville Christian. Donaldson Christian is at Ezel Harding. Mount Pleasant travels to Fayetteville. Giles County plays at Franklin County. Green Hill hosting Gallatin. And Culleoka goes to Lewis County. All of those are 5 o'clock starts. At 5:30, Riverdale is at Blackman. Henry County goes to Clarksville. Eagleville hosts Community. Centennial comes across McHatcher Bypass to go to Franklin. Clarksville Northeast is at Rossview. All 5:30 starts at 6. Laverne goes to Stewart's Creek. Wilson Central hosts Cookeville. Wilson Central hosts Cookeville at 6:30. Smyrna is at Laverne. Smyrna is at Lebanon at 6:30. There we go. Allergy affected my reading ability as well. Columbia Central is at Coffee County at 7. Also at 7, Rockvale is at Siegel. We do not have times for these. Westmoreland at Cannon County. Harpeth at East Hickman. East Nashville hosting Hume Fogg. Cheatham County going to Hickman County. And Houston County is at Perry County sometime today.
At some point today, those squads we'll get it on. Boys soccer action tonight. We kick off at 4:30. It'll be Lead Academy at STEM Academy tonight. 5 p.m. contest now. It is Nashville Christian at BGA. Springfield traveling to Clarksville Northeast. Columbia Academy is at FRA. Loretto visiting Lawrence County tonight for a good little inter-county rivalry showdown. 5:30 matchup tonight. It'll be Zion Christian at Marshall County. 6 p.m. kickoffs now as Kip Nashville is at CPA. Richland traveling to Culleoka. Webb School is at Innsworth. Good Pasture at Fairview. Middle Tennessee Christian at Franklin Christian. Gallatin is at Green Hill this evening. Pope John Paul II at MBA. McEwen at Montgomery Central. Cookeville is at Smyrna. Coffee County will visit Spring Hill. John Overton is at University School of Nashville. Upperman visiting Westmoreland to close our 6 o'clock window. 6:30 kickoff as Greenbrier will visit Glencliff tonight. 7 p.m. showdowns. White House Heritage is at Kirkwood. Laverne is at Lebanon. Ravenwood will travel to Page tonight. Rockvale at Blackman. Centennial at Brentwood. Dixon County visiting Cheatham County tonight. Harpeth Hall is visiting Creekwood. Other 7 p.m. contests include Clarksville at Rossview, Columbia at Shelbyville tonight. Murfreesboro Central is at Siegel. Franklin County and Giles County will play here in Pulaski tonight at Rotary Soccer Park. That's scheduled for a 7:30 kickoff. Start times not available or not listed at least. Boyd Buchanan at Lipscomb Academy. Riverdale is at Oakland. Major League Baseball tonight. The Marlins and Braves will resume their series beginning at 6:20. Game can be seen locally if you got the right package, I suppose, on Valley Sports South. 6:40 tonight, the Astros will visit the Cubs. That game can be seen on TBS. The Sounds were in Louisville beginning their series tonight. First pitch scheduled for 5:05 p.m. And at 9 p.m. tonight, the Nashville Predators will remain in Vancouver, going to take on the Canucks, game number 2 in the opening round of the Western Conference Stanley Cup playoffs. ESPN Plus and Bally Sports South. You can see it on either of those locations. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the rundown.
Top story brought to you, as always, by Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill here in Columbia. Be sure and get through there for their delicious daily deli lunch options, as well as their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. So, Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, presenting your top story. And as Wade mentioned to close out the rundown, the Predators trying to get even in that playoff series out at Vancouver after that 4-2 game 1 loss on Sunday. But interesting development as it has started to come out that Vancouver will, in all likelihood, be without starting goalie Thatcher Demko. Missed this morning's skate, did not practice yesterday, and undisclosed injury, I guess, was not available for the media, I guess, following Sunday night's game, but doesn't look too good, according to a source regarding this situation. So Demko missed 6 weeks near the end of the season after a knee injury against Winnipeg in early March, but this is not related to that, according to reports. But so the Predators will go at host Vancouver without the Canucks top goalie. Now, still got to score.
Yeah, still got to get some goals on your end. And Demko is going to be a big blow. And some reports are speculating, already that he could be out for the remainder of this entire series, which would be a massive blow. And I'm just going back to the first period when Nashville had a point-blank chance, would have went up 1-0 within the first 6 minutes of the game, and Demko made just an otherworldly save. And obviously, any of these guys at the professional level can make a crazy save here, a crazy save there, but this guy is a huge part of what they got going on. He made 22 total saves in the Game 1 victory. And again, it's kind of interesting that he's definitely out tonight. Casey DeSmith is going to be your backup netminder. He's a guy that's kind of been around the league a little bit. Demko's just 28. DeSmith is 32. And so Nashville, yeah, you kind of get a bit of a gift here is the way I'm looking at this, Mo, but you make a great point. You're going to have to do the work. It's not as if
right.
It's not an empty net without your starting goalkeeper.
There's going to be somebody in there. I mean, goalie play, as is everything else in the playoffs, it's heightened this time of year, and for them to be without, one of the better goalies in the league, you'd like to think advantage Nashville, but you still got to take advantage of it. So that's kind of where that sits, and it will certainly be interesting to keep an eye on. Puck drop at 9:00 tonight. Excuse me. Hopefully, right after the Braves have finished off another win, I can just slide from Bally to Bally and keep it rolling there tonight. So we'll see how that goes. But hey, when we come back here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia, we will have NFL on Fox's Ben Arthur talking a little more draft. It's getting closer, and see what the thoughts are across the AFC South on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday event. So come back to the Lee Company Studios with us after this break.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
In a Main Street Sports Today. I write for Main Street Murray. I'm co-host of Main Street Sports Today, along with Wade Neely. And we are now joined by NFL on Fox's Ben Arthur. Ben, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are y'all doing?
Well, Wade's doing better than I am. Wade's doing better than I am. I'm struggling, Ben. But hey, I would imagine you're going to be a pretty happy camper come Sunday night.
Sunday night?
Once the draft gets over?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The draft is always a doozy. After the first 2 days and then the last day, rounds 4 through 7, you just want it to kind of be over with. Doing 4 teams. I mean, it's enough with covering one, but when you cover 4 teams, it can be a lot. But I think just with the nature of my role, you focus more on national storylines. Like I'm not like a beat reporter for every team that I cover. So my perspective on it is a little bit different. But I will be, I will be happy as soon as Sunday is here because I mean, we're at that point in the pre-draft process to where like, let's just kind of get this thing done because people are just talking and no one actually knows what's going on. People like to think they know, and let's just kind of get to it. So that's kind of where I'm at.
You know, obviously our focus is more on the Tennessee Titans right here in the Middle Tennessee area. But as you cover the AFC South, what do you feel like the biggest storyline draft wise is among these four teams right now?
The biggest storyline among these teams, I mean, it starts with the Titans. I think in what they do. I mean, not only do they have the highest pick at number 7, but they have the most needs of any team in this in this division. Are they going to go left tackle? I mean, that seems to be that's the favorite. It would seem, right, just because of the need they have there, right? A franchise left tackle, a blindside protector for Will Levis, but there's also a strong argument for receiver, right? Because you don't really have young talent at that position. You have Calvin Ridley, you have DeAndre Hopkins, of course, but who are the young guys that can grow with Will Levis? You don't have that, and then we know they have a plethora of defensive needs as well, and like the whole debate of staying at 7 or trading back from 7, because this is a team that needs depth, starting caliber talent pretty much everywhere. And you can make a pretty strong argument that they should probably trade back from 7 even. I know there's a debate maybe just to do it at 38 if possible, but 7 too. I mean, so I think just with the Titans, there's just the most intrigue there. Because you're trying to help, you're hopeful, trying to see what you have in Will Levis, right? You want to give him the best chance, and trying to see like, okay, like who's going to be that guy who could help him the most? Like, is it going to be that left tackle, or is it going to be that wide receiver? And how are they like valuing those guys? I think that's honestly what I'm looking at the most in terms of this draft. Because I mean, the Texans aren't even in the first round. The Jaguars, we know kind of where they are at, and you know, in terms of talking with Trevor Lawrence, in terms of getting an extension done, they're pretty much set there. And the Colts have more talent around Anthony Richardson than the Titans do with Will Levis. So I think just because of their draft positioning at 7, and then just the plethora of holes that they have, it just makes for them having the most intrigue as we kind of head into Thursday.
Ben, I want to ask you, Rand Carthon has had some availability and is kind of spoke, and he kind of unveiled that the strategy or process was that the Titans were going to let the board kind of do the talking for them, almost implying that whatever, we don't necessarily have a true strategy. We're just going to wait and see, obviously, what's available to us at 7. Do you really buy that, or do you think there are 1, 2, or maybe even 3 guys that they definitely have in mind? Or is it truly kind of a situation like Rand is maybe speaking to, that if the situation unfolds perfectly, there may be a guy that is not in that top 2 or 3 in their mind that they just kind of are almost forced to take potentially?
Yeah, I think with what Rand was saying, and I think just generally this time of the year, we should always kind of hold everything with a grain of salt. Not to say that Rand was lying or anything. Like I think the most value in all that is just kind of the thought process. Because I mean, there's no benefit to them like saying kind of what they're planning. But I think as far as the Titans go, I mean, you just kind of think like how the board is going to play in front of you, right? Like, you know, that number 1 is going to be a quarterback, 2 is going to be a quarterback, 3 is going to be a quarterback. And so you just kind of go through those scenarios. And like, I do imagine that the Titans have, you know, 3 to 4 guys that they're probably eyeing at 7. But what you also have to consider is like, okay, like maybe the guy that they wanted of that group maybe isn't there, and then they looked for scenarios to kind of trade back. So I do think that they've kind of zeroed in on a couple guys. Who those guys are, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, I would think that Joe Alt is maybe one of them, just because just the need at left tackle. You think of the connections that the Titans have with Notre Dame, right? With Bill Callahan, the O-line coach at Nebraska, had his first full-time job at Nebraska under Bill Callahan, who was the head coach there from 04 to 07. So you think of connections like that, which are so significant. Those relationships are so significant. So you think of that. So I imagine Alt is probably in there, but the Chargers are a team at 5 that could potentially take Joe Alt. So yeah, I do, to kind of go back to your question, I do think there's probably a couple guys that they're looking at, but I also think just with the whole frenzy with the quarterbacks at the top, it may be beneficial for them to move back if that right offer presents itself. So it's kind of tough to say.
And with the kind of roster construction as it's currently constructed, is that this may sound, blasphemous to a lot of our listeners' ears, but if you believe in your ability to identify accurately the talent, is that not the best strategy to potentially move back and acquire a few more key pieces who you really think are going to be rock solid contributors, as opposed to landing that one big guy, but then your depth is going to be potentially limited a little further down the road?
Yeah, I think that's a really delicate balance that the Titans have to toe, because, as I was saying earlier, they have depth issues across the board, right? And we know the value of an elite player, but we also know that they have holes at offensive tackle, receiver, safety, linebacker, defensive tackle. The value you can get if that right opportunity presents itself to trade backs and potentially get more good players at the top of the draft, should be weighted very favorably for the Titans' case. I mean, that's kind of something that Brian Callahan alluded to in his press conference at the start of the offseason program. Part of the reason why they spent so much money is because they just had so many holes. And with roster building, you want to get to a point to where with free agency, you're just kind of filling up these needs here and there. You want the bulk of your roster, that foundation, to really be through the draft. And because of the missteps of the previous regime, we've seen just kind of why they've moved the way they have in free agency. And you would think that just because of that and the need to kind of restart this foundation, so to speak, that getting as much draft capital as possible should probably be the biggest priority.
Ben Arthur of NFL on Fox joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA Columbia. Ben, as you work through that explanation, that conversation just then, excuse me, is Bill Callahan kind of an X factor in this draft, from the standpoint that you could take someone who maybe isn't as highly touted as a Joe Alt, and he's got the ability to coach him up, kind of close whatever gap there is between left tackle X and Joe Alt, to the point that you could afford to make that trade back, and Callahan's going to help whoever you do take for that left tackle spot better, more quickly? I mean, is that part of the thought process?
Yeah, there are so many elements to that thought process, right? Because I think, number one, you need that blindside protector. We know how much of an issue that's been for the Titans since Taylor Lewan's decline. They need to give Will Levis a chance to succeed. So if Will Levis is going to be your guy or not. So you have to weigh that. But then also, like you said, Bill Callahan, you think of that, the factor that he brings. You think of the fact that this is one of the deepest offensive line drafts, at least what they're saying in the scouting community, that we've seen in years, right? And even Brian Callahan, I think it was Callie that said, it was Callie or Rand was saying that there are starters on the offensive line like throughout the draft, like in, from 1 to like 7. So you think about that too, right? Like, you can maybe get a day 2 starting left tackle, right? That has to be under consideration as well. So I think it ultimately comes down to like just that balance of maybe that surefire guy at 7 versus Bill Callahan's ability to develop and like how are you weighing that right now? I mean, only the Titans know ultimately, but yeah, I think it's a really important discussion to have. But I think just from my vantage point, like you just need that left tackle spot secured. So if you are that confident in Bill Callahan's ability to develop, then trade back or use the number 38 or whatever on a left tackle, whatever. But yeah, that should be just at the forefront. Well, whatever it takes, just to make sure that you have a guy protecting Will Levis's blind side.
And I think, like you said, going back to Lawan, this fan base has watched left tackle not just be not a strength, but certainly be a weakness to the point that you may see some sort of a revolt Thursday night if it's not left tackle. So certainly going to be interesting to watch. You've got a piece up on Fox Sports on the Colts draft situation, and your second round pick to them, I don't think is anybody that anybody else wants to see in the AFC South. You've got them taking Toledo cornerback Quinyon Mitchell at number 15 overall, and then at 46, a guy that I watched last fall and really was kind of hoping to see in two-tone blue some kind of way, receiver / returner Xavier Worthy. That kid can fly.
He can. Yeah. Well, we obviously saw it at the combine, how dynamic he is, what he could do just from the return game standpoint, right? Returning punts. Yeah. And I think with the Colts, they already have a strong foundation of wide receivers, right? Between Michael Pittman Jr., he's your high volume guy, Josh Downs in the slot, and then Alec Pierce, he's kind of the deep threat. But then you add a speedster, a game-breaking speedster like a Xavier Worthy. I mean, I think that could take their room on paper, right? Potentially from good to great. I think that's where the Colts are at, like trying to take their wide receiver room from good to great. And so I think he would make a lot of sense for them. I think that would obviously make Anthony Richardson very happy too. But yeah, I think, with other teams in the AFC South, you want a speedster like that to face. And I think just overall, like you look at the caliber of wide receiver talent in the division now, like it just feels like it's on the up and up, right? Like Stephon Diggs is obviously in the picture now. We know we saw Tank Dell, we saw Nico Collins. I mentioned Michael Pittman Jr. Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis is in the division now, and then obviously the Titans have Hopkins and Calvin Ridley now. There's a lot of number one caliber of wide receivers in this division, and I think for the Colts, if they can add a guy with that kind of speed to what's already a pretty strong room, the other teams in the division wouldn't like that so much.
You've got another one going to Jacksonville at 17, Brian Thomas Jr., the receiver out of LSU.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the Titans may have to take a receiver just to keep up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how it's going to shake out for the Titans at receiver, but yeah, either in the first or second round, like early, I feel like it's destined to happen. Just with them taking one early, because as I mentioned earlier, like you don't have that young talent at that position that you could really build around. I mean, Calvin Ridley is going to turn 30 this season. DeAndre Hopkins is already past 30, and they're going to be great, right, for this year and maybe next year too. But like, you really don't have any other guys that you can lean on to really grow with Levis, and we know what that Traylon Burks hasn't lived up to expectations, and then beyond that, you don't really know what you have. So I would be shocked, and especially considering Brian Callahan's just what he worked with in Cincinnati and how he values receivers, guys who can score touchdowns. I would be absolutely shocked if they didn't take a receiver within like the first 100 picks.
And as you mentioned, Houston doesn't have a pick in the first round, so the biggest news they're making is they've announced new uniforms.
Yeah, yeah. It's new era for them. But I think it was interesting just with Houston that Texans general manager Nick Caserio had said the other day that they don't see any of their draft picks this year having a like, quote, significant impact, end quote, like on the team. So that just shows you kind of where their head is at, right? Just kind of being in what they hope is kind of Super Bowl caliber contention, like at the top of the AFC or whatever. And so, yeah, it feels like they're just in position to take best available, just build depth, because you look and you look at where this draft is strong, like wide receiver, offensive line. Those are two positions where the Texans are pretty good, right? They have arguably 3 number 1 caliber receivers, assuming Tank Dell becomes one, which I believe he can. And then they have the bookend tackles in there, Tunsil and Titus Howard too. So Texans are, yeah, it's just kind of different expectations for them than other teams in division.
Ben, we're never really, I guess, sorry, I was gonna say, Ben, I guess we're never really ever truly surprised or floored by what happens in the draft, because it's expect the unexpected. But we've talked a lot, obviously, about the Titans potentially getting involved in a trade. With the Jaguars or Colts, it seems maybe not as much with the Texans. Would it shock you if they made a move to try and either move up or move back? Has there been any chatter about them kind of being a little more active than just making a selection?
Yeah, I haven't seen or heard or personally heard from people, much about them in terms of like potentially like moving up in particular, because I mean, I think usually when you do that, it's usually for the teams in the quarterback hunt, at least at the top, right? Like I just remember like Chris Ballard was on Rich Eisen's show the other day, and he was asked about Marvin Harrison Jr. of course, because Marvin Harrison became a legend in Indy, and he was asked, like, do you see a scenario where you get Marvin Harrison Jr., and he was basically like in quote fantasy land. I see that possibility. So yeah, I think for those teams, I in the first round, I don't really see a trade up scenario. I don't think it really makes sense for those teams. I kind of expect them to go based on need, especially with Indy, like at the top of the draft. You look at historically what Chris Ballard has done, like with that top pick, they pretty much always go need. And we see a lot of teams like maybe go best available in some cases. Like Indy, like pretty much goes need all the time. So if it's not a cornerback, it's probably going to be a wide receiver. So I probably see it going one of those 2 directions, whether that's, Brian Thomas or Quinyon Mitchell or, just whoever it is for the Colts. And then for Jacksonville, I think it's interesting because I think Jacksonville and Indy kind of have similar needs at the top, right? Because you think of what the Jags are losing with Calvin Ridley gone. They need kind of another kind of top guy, a potential wide receiver 1 type, to kind of fill in that role, because Gabe Davis is a solid receiver, but he's not a number one guy. Christian Kirk is probably more of a wide receiver too. And so I think they need, I'd expect them to really look closely at the wide receivers and then the cornerbacks as well, because that's a need for them. They cut Darius Williams as a cap casualty. And then kind of going back to what I was saying about the caliber of wide receivers in this division, you need guys on the outside who can cover them, or it's going to be really long games for you in the division. And so, yeah, with both Indy, Jacksonville, I don't see trade up possibilities for them. It's either stay put or trade back in my head, and it's probably going to be wide receiver or a corner for both those teams.
Ben Arthur of Fox on NFL joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA of Columbia. Ben, appreciate your insight, man. As always, look forward to catching up with you after you get a little rest and seeing how things shake out this weekend. So thank you, sir.
Appreciate it,
we'll
guys.
Catch up.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, Ben.
When we come back here on Main Street Sports today, it's time for a little baseball chatter, primarily Braves. Stay with us here in the Lee Company studios after this break.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
April 23rd, 1954. One down, 754 to go. 8 days after getting his first major league hit off St. Louis's Vic Rashi, Hank Aaron clubbed a 6-inning solo home run off the Cardinals starter, the first of his legendary career, in a 7-5 14-inning Milwaukee Braves road win. That was this day in Braves history. And I made it through it, Wade.
First one down, 7:54 to go.
The first of, goodness gracious, like I said, a legend. So great start for him. Speaking of great starts, Bryce Elder goes 6 2/3 shutout last night in his first start of the year for the Atlanta Braves after coming up from Gwinnett. Scattered 8 hits, no walks, 4 strikeouts in a 3-0 win over the Marlins. Unfortunately, that win came at the expense of Loretto's Ryan Weathers, who went 5 2/3, gave up 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, and a K, including another home run by Travis d'Arnaud. So, yeah, Ryan falls to 2-2. But I mean, I would think that they've got to be pretty pleased with that outing from him against, right now, the best offense in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine text me, said, man, if he wins this game last night, I mean, is it still, do you still have one selection from each team for the All-Star game? Is that correct?
On a team that was 6-17 and he got 3 of them, or 7-17 and he had 3 of them. Yeah.
I mean, his numbers were already kind of looking nice, but obviously if he had really turned in a quality performance, I mean, he fits the bill if you got to have one anyway. But I mean, you could almost even start thinking about, man, he's sitting pretty as is.
Yeah, exactly. Especially again on that team, as bad as they are. So that'll kind of be interesting to track as we go. Again, Braves
speaking
win
of which,
3-0.
Mo, I wanted to ask you about this. You've watched a lot of baseball in your life, and did you get to watch the whole game yesterday by chance? Did you?
No, I did not get to watch the whole game.
Did you get to watch the start of the game by chance?
No, I did not get to watch the start of the game. What did I miss?
Well, I didn't watch any of it either, but I want to ask you this. When is the last time, and I tried to see if this was some sort of stat, and I'm sure it is, but I couldn't find any sort of real knowledge on this. When is the last time that a team, listen to this box score, leadoff single, De La Cruz in the 2-hole singles, and then Chisholm doubles,
and they don't score.
And they don't score a run, not just there, but they don't score a run in the entire first inning.
Right.
Single, double, and you don't score a single run in the inning. That's mind-blowing to me.
And I don't know if maybe the double should have been a single. Maybe somebody got sent that shouldn't have been.
There was a play at the plate, and then De La Cruz is left stranded at third after 2 flyouts. But that just blew my mind. And trading a text with a friend yesterday, he said, "You won't believe this."
Single,
I
single,
said,
double,
"You're right.
no
I can't
runs.
believe
That's
that.
tough.
Single, double, and no runs."
That is tough to believe. I did not see that sequence, didn't see much of the game like you said, but I am intrigued by, how that went down. I've not been intrigued enough to go back and track down the video, but,
Yeah, and I never saw a clip or anything, but it just boggles my mind there.
I think one thing that runners are learning, though, is that running on Michael Harris II is hazardous to your health. So
I think he was the culprit there. And then did I also see, did Acuna, did he make a little history yesterday?
Yeah, such as it was. I mean, he became the Atlanta Braves all-time leader in stolen bases. Now, he replaced Rafael Furcal as number 1 in that category. So that kind of tells you what you're dealing with. The Braves traditionally have not run a whole lot. Stolen bases have not really been a big part of their game. So I think the number was, it's 1 something. I don't remember specifically how many, but yeah, Ronald Acuna did make a little history last night, but it was, not real earth-shattering history, as it were.
190. And as I'm pulling this up, and I meant to mention this, Yao went in your absence last week. He went deep in the annals, and he mentioned the Boston Bean Eaters, and they appear yet again because apparently the all-time franchise record is held by Bean Eaters shortstop Herman Long, who I'm sure everybody, of course,
the legendary Herman Long
with his career. He stole 434 bases. So
434.
Acuna's got at least 2 or 3 years to try and make some hay there before he probably gets there.
250, yeah. So he's got a little work to do to catch old Herm.
Man, and then the modern era franchise record belongs to Mr. Aaron himself with 240 swipes during his 21-year Braves tenure. That's according to Braves Today on SI.com there. So they've give him on a long enough timeline. I feel like he's destined for all those records.
You would like to think, that 436 may be a little bit of a push, but certainly 240. Shoot, he might get 240 this year if he's at 190 now.
Yeah.
Considering he got 73 last year. So good stuff there, Mr. Neely. No surprise. Excuse me. 6:20 tonight, it'll be Trevor Rogers 0-2 with a 3.92 going for the Marlins. Max Fried 1-0 with a 7.71. That's not a typo.
Ooh.
ERA for the Braves. Meanwhile, your Astros will be at Wrigley Field tonight in a matchup of a couple of 0-2 starters. J.P. France for Houston, Jordan Wicks for the Cubs, and both with ERAs upwards of 5. So hopefully the wind isn't blowing out, because it sounds like these two guys need all the help they can get.
Yeah, I was immediately getting ready to head. I'm going to scope out ballparkpal.com. We'll give you all the weather forecast. And yeah, it maybe Houston, maybe it will be blowing out and Houston will win a 10-9 slugfest.
Well, there you go.
That's about the only thing that I'm visualizing them winning games these days is
get a couple balls up in the wind and take your chances, huh? Hey, speaking of clips from yesterday, Wade, did you see the ejection that took place at Yankee Stadium last night or yesterday?
Yes, and I knew it was interesting, but then when you watch the clip, it's a little more interesting than I initially thought, because I see the cause for concern for our Yankees manager at the moment, man.
Yeah. Aaron Boone, 5 pitches into the Yankees matchup with Oakland, was tossed because of something said by a fan behind the dugout that was credited to Boone. You've heard the phrase rabbit ears, right?
Yeah, I want to say I read a quote too, and the umpire basically said, I don't care who said it, you were in the general vicinity, so guess what? You're gone.
Well, I mean, it's bad enough that you want the manager to control his players, but now you want him to control fans as well? Umpires are doing too much.
I'm trying to read the pool reporter here. Wendelstead, you may know his first name.
Hunter
Wendelstead. Yeah, good call there. Yeah. Quote, heard something from the far end of the dugout. And it, quote, had nothing to do with Boone's area, but, quote, but he's the manager of the Yankees, so he's the one that's got to go.
Yeah.
I mean, chain of command, I suppose, but man.
There's got to be something. That can't be the end of that story, I don't think. So keep an eye on Hunter Wendelstedt's next few weeks and whether he gets any time off.
And may not be getting any Yankees games, at least for a little bit.
That too. Yeah. Stay with us after this break. When we come back to the Lee Company studios here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia, we will have the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters, to start us off here in the second hour of the show. So stay with us.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
The second hour of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. Speaking of Columbia, the pride of the dimple now joining us here, the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters. And speaking of voices, Chip,
top five tonics for Mo's voice. That could be Top 5 Tuesday today.
I think I would try all 5 of them at this point.
Well, you know, the thing is, you were on a cruise last week, and there will be no sympathy given because you and I know a certain former head football coach that would tell you exactly
where
you could find such sympathy in the dictionary. And it was an entertaining route that he told you to go find it. So, but nonetheless, I did post on the chat a couple of things. There's an over-the-counter. Well, everybody's had Chloraseptic. Everybody's used that. That helps a little bit. There's one called Entertainer's Secret that you can get over the counter. But I had a college professor, Ralph Hillman, who was a voice and speech and diction professor that I had at Middle, and he always carried a little Ziploc bag. Anytime he would use lemons, he would keep the lemon rind and let it dry out, and he would actually use a little hole puncher, and where he would have little dots of lemon rind, and if he had a little scratchy throat, he would put a couple of those in his mouth, chew it up, and and the acid from the lemon rind would help burn off whatever the problem was. And while I've not kept dried lemon rind around, one of my, you might call this a bad habit, is that if I have lemon in a glass of tea or something, I'll chew a little bit of the rind, and doesn't bother me at all. So there you go, the expose right there.
Hey, Chip taking us behind the curtain there just a little bit. Hey, that's how he keeps the vocals in good shape. Chip, been an interesting week, I guess, over on campus, particularly for the Blue Raider Netters.
Boy, they open up a brand new facility about 6 weeks ago, knowing that they were going to be hosting the conference tournament, and they did that, and had the really, and this kind of creeped up on me with the comings and goings in Conference USA. There are only 4 men's programs in tennis right now in Conference USA, it's Middle, Liberty, Jack State, and New Mexico State. Western doesn't have men's tennis. Louisiana Tech does not have men's tennis. FIU, of all places, does not have men's tennis. UTEP does not have men's tennis. But
you can't find tennis players in Florida?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, and but a lot of it has to do with Title IX, and to where you can help get your women's numbers up in certain places. Fortunately, at Middle, that has not been an issue, and tennis has been a staple on both men's and women's for a long time. But the Blue Raiders came out on Saturday morning, started an hour late due to an early morning shower. They did not choose to move the event indoors. They kept it outside, and dispatched New Mexico State 4-0 in record time, and then came back on Sunday playing Liberty, who had beaten Jacksonville State in the other semifinal. Middle won the doubles point, and then ended up winning 3 of the 5 singles matches that were completed, and ended up winning the men's title 4-2. And that is now the 5th consecutive Conference USA championship for Jimmy Borendame and the men's tennis program. They have become a dynasty in that sport in Conference USA for sure.
Got to be wondering when the statue's going up for Jimmy.
That's right. Well, the statue for Jimmy is that new new complex over there. He loves to show it off. He's a little bit humble with how nice his office is now compared to what it was, but they've done a good job, and they have their recruiting network put together, and now they've got, when you combine the Adams Tennis Complex, the indoor facility out at Old Fort Park, and the new outdoor facility, it's hard to beat. Including a lot of Power Fives are not going to have that 1-2 punch when it comes to facility.
And so,
yeah, and Chip, I'm looking at it. Ranked in the top 40 in the ITA rankings, and for a school of MTSU stature, that's pretty impressive. And to be able to do that 5+ years, obviously winning the championship is kind of your hallmark moment there. But there's a lot more that goes into it than just winning the championship. That kind of speaks to the overall cachet of what they built there.
It does, and I was looking here real quick. This is the win over Liberty, who was also ranked, was the 5th or 6th win against a ranked program this year. You look back through their schedule, starting back in January. They were in some tournaments, and once they got into one-on-one matches, they shut out Presbyterian, shut out Tennessee State, lost to Oklahoma State on the road, beat Arkansas on the road 6-1, beat Cal in Durham, lost to Duke, beat Mississippi State in Murfreesboro, lost at East Lansing against Michigan State, beat Virginia Tech, lost a 4-3 match against Indiana on the road, shut out Northwestern, lost to Auburn, beat Boise State, beat Rice, beat Austin Peay, beat Texas Tech, beat South Florida, shut out Louisville 4-0, beat Tennessee Tech, lost to Oklahoma and SMU, beat Memphis, beat Alabama A&M, and the Vanderbilt match was canceled. They beat Tulane, who was ranked, and shut out UNC Asheville, and then had the back-to-back wins in the tournament. So he will play anybody and everybody. And the thing is, he's gotten his program to a level in we talk about this a lot in basketball and other sports where you get to a certain level and it's hard to schedule.
Mhm.
Well, in the ITA, they've gotten so good and they've been ranked so high now for several years that he doesn't have those kind of problems scheduling matches that that sometimes a basketball program might have, things like that. But good for them. Now they wait till next Monday at 5:00 for the NCAA selection show, and they'll have a big party at the Boulevard and invite everybody to come over and watch the selection show with them.
Let me say one thing about the Boulevard. Fried mac and cheese balls.
Good stuff.
Thank me later.
Yeah.
Thank me later. Chip, you talk about the fact that Middle doesn't have problems scheduling with men's tennis. Is that partly because, they are kind of a good loss at this point?
Yeah, they're a powerhouse now, and that helps. And obviously, there's some who don't want to get on the schedule and take the risk of a loss, but it's not everybody. And I mean, for some reason he's had a lot of success getting Big 12 teams or Big 10 teams to come south, and they've always. I mean, I think back to even when Dick LaLance was coaching men's tennis, they would make those trips out west, go to California, places like that. But this year they had a West Coast swing and also had the swing through Stillwater and Fayetteville to play a couple of dual matches. So it's they're fun to watch. And man, I was out there for the Tulane match, and they had a really dramatic just to win the doubles point. It was tied 2-2, and they were behind in the fifth match, and came from behind to win the final game in that fifth match to get the doubles point. And the atmosphere at tennis matches has grown because it's pretty raucous. It's kind of like the Waste Management Open, except it's at college tennis. I mean, there are beverages being sold, and there are other concessions out there, but it has become a really good atmosphere. And the even in its first year, the new site has become kind of a tough ticket to get a seat. I mean, it was standing room only out there all weekend.
Now, when you say there are beverages being sold,
yes,
okay.
Yeah,
wow.
Soft and not so soft.
No,
Cedar
Glade
Glade Brews, local brewery here in town. They have several flavors, and they have kind of connected up in a marketing partnership and have those available.
Wow, sounds interesting. So what is Middle ranked?
36th, is that right, Wade? I think.
I
think
30,
that.
Yeah, 34th.
34. They went up a couple after beating Liberty. So top 35. They've been close to having a regional before. I don't think they'll have one this year, but they will. They've had a chance to host, and I know that is a goal of Jimmy's, is to be able to host a regional in college tennis, and it's an exciting game, and I tell you, once you go, you kind of get hooked a little bit.
And so you make an interesting point there, Chip, and I'm curious. Yeah, so the regionals are just a virtue of quote unquote success. And so even with the fancy, awesome new facility, MTSU would still kind of have to earn the right to host. It's not as if they
Right.
could potentially just host no matter what.
Yeah, correct.
Which is a little disappointing. Obviously, if they're on the cusp, it'd be really sweet to just showcase that facility even further, right?
It would be, and I know that's always the goal. As much that's the old facility right there that we're seeing. The new one, that's the old one that was torn down, and when they widened Middle Tennessee Boulevard, those courts out by the street were fatalities of that, and so it's been reconfigured. The new offices. All of that is now there's the stands and everything. It's very similar to if you've been out to the Adams complex, you know how you go up and all the fans are upstairs and looking out over 4 courts on either side. Well, they basically duplicated that. Plus, there's a separate building that contains the locker rooms, offices, all that kind of stuff, right there by Murphy Center. So. It's a spectacular place, and there's a manager of that facility, and there will be all kinds of tennis and probably some pickleball opportunities out there. So as that continues to grow, you'll probably see some clinics and things like that that'll be out there.
Chip Walters, the voice of the Blue Raiders, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. Chip, walk me through tennis regionals. Is it 16, 14?
Why did you do that? But it is. It is. I think it is. I think there's 16 4-team regionals. I think that is. I think that's the way that works out, and then you go on to a second level. And eventually you get to the national championship, and it could be that the 16 probably the 16 pod winners will end up in a national championship tournament.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What else is going on campus, Chip?
Well, Thursday night, one of the bigger events of the year. It's the 13th annual Raiders Choice Awards. I'm not sure if you've ever had the chance to see that. I would love for you to come over sometime for that. It is there are a lot of Nathan Wallach, Leanne Bruton put a lot of time into this. Back 13 years ago, there was a crew of us, Whit Turnbow, myself, and a couple of others, kind of got this thing going. And it is however you want to describe it, ESPY-like or Academy Award style, but it is all done at the Tucker Theater. So we get out of our comfort zone of athletic facilities. It is a big time dress up event, and there is you arrive on the blue carpet. There is the step and repeat. There are a line of folks with video and photographs and all of that to be taken and interviews to be done as you arrive on the blue carpet. There's music and food and all of that for the student athletes, and then everyone retires into the to the Tucker Theater, and it's a major production that is put together, very slickly produced by Nathan Wallach, his crew, and those folks in athletic communications that do all the video for our nominees. And everybody looks good. They give nice victory speeches. We have entertainment throughout the show, spaced out, and it is it's really a fun night, and it's satisfying for me. I've been the master of ceremonies of this since the beginning, except for 1 year when I had a schedule conflict and was not allowed to be there during that scheduling conflict, but that's another story for another time. But it is humbling in the sense that all of us 40, 50, and 60-year-olds can actually put on an event that the younger crowd really looks forward to, and they get into it. The teams, they all try to outdo each other dressing up, and it will be live. You'll be able to see it on the YouTube channel, also on the Athletics Facebook page. You can see it televised live there on Thursday night starting at 7 o'clock.
if Nathan's in charge, we know it's going to be done right.
Yep. He and I had a lunch today together. I went over to a nice little place we like to go for sandwiches, and had a sandwich and made sure we had all of our I's dotted and T's crossed, getting ready for this thing on Thursday night.
So this means this you in a tux on Thursday? Is that what we're talking about? That level of dress up, or
yes, I will be.
Okay.
Yeah, and I will be, and so I'm sure by for next week's show, you all can kind of go through the photo gallery a little bit.
That's kind of where my wheels were turning.
Yeah, there you go.
Already, so
there'll be a photo gallery on GoBlueRaiders.com of a lot of stuff, including a lot of the winners. The top awards of the night. You have the male athlete of the year, female athlete of the year, then and you have different things like newcomer of the year. You have breakout performer of the year. You have fan voting on play of the year, performance of the year, game or event of the year. And then the crescendo of it all is the True Blue President's Award, which takes into account everything as far as athletic, academics, community service, all of that. And there's typically one male, one female that are awarded the President's Award. And that is the highlight of the night. And then at the end of the show, we kind of have our own one shining moment. You have an all sports highlight video that lasts 5, 6, 7 minutes that is very, very well done every year. So if you get a chance, tune in to either the Athletics YouTube channel or the Facebook page for Blue Raider Athletics on Thursday night. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Is the fan voting still open, Chip, or has that
fan
closed?
Voting has closed? It closed on Monday, but it was open most of the end of last week and all through the weekend. But I mean, the thing is, you think there's something might be in your mind of, performance of the year. Well, that had to be women's basketball beating, or game of the year had to be women's basketball beating Louisville. Well, what about softball beating Alabama? Or what about, men's basketball beating Louisiana Tech, in the tournament? There's, you think there's, the other great part about it is the only time of the entire year that all the student athletes and all the coaches from all the sports are all together, and they're all there to celebrate each other's successes. And not only on the field or court, but also in the classroom, and also the work that they do in the community. And like yesterday, there were several dozen student athletes out on Earth Day cleaning up trash on the Greenway here in Murfreesboro.
That really is impressive. So you mentioned softball beating Alabama. So what is the time frame? This isn't necessarily the school year.
Correct. Well, it's basically this week.
Okay.
A year ago.
12 years. Okay. Gotcha.
12 months. And because you're always going to have baseball, softball, and track, have events that fall right after the event. And, and you hope that you've got, you hope that something happens with those programs big enough that it stands the test of time over 12 months to be recognized for next year.
Okay. Speaking of baseball and softball.
Well, this year has been a struggle. Quite honestly, both teams were swept over the weekend. Lady Raider softball lost at Western Kentucky, and the men's team, the baseball team, went into the weekend tied for 6th with Sam Houston, and Sam Houston won all 3 games. They won 2 one-run games, a 4-3 and a 3-2, and that was sandwiched around a 13-1 Sam Houston win on Saturday. And we've kind of lamented about pitching and the bullpen, but right now you're kind of going through a team-wide batting slump, and that has been one thing that's kind of carried them a little bit. Has been their bats, but right now they're not scoring runs, and you lose. You give up 4 and you give up 3. You feel like you're you have an opportunity, to win both of those games in a college setting, the way that runs can typically be scored and the way that they've been scoring before. But that's just not been the case. And now you've got you're playing out the final 3 or 4 weeks of the conference season. You've got Western Kentucky coming in baseball this weekend at Reese Smith Field, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so all of those will be special. Baseball has a game on the road at Austin Peay tonight. They beat Austin Peay in just an absolutely, as John Sterling would have called the July 4th game in Atlanta, the craziest, wackiest game of all time last Tuesday night when Middle led 15-13 going to the top of the ninth, gave up 2 runs, and then ended up scoring a run in the bottom of the 10th to grab the win there. And then so they're trying to get that done. And now in softball this weekend, looking it up real quick, they are back home Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they'll be playing New Mexico State. And that is their final series in the conference before going to the conference tournament next week in Las Cruces out at New Mexico State.
Does everyone go?
I think so. So. Baseball, there are 9 teams, and only eight go. So that's, you don't want to be in that spot. And right now, Middle's fighting to stay out of it.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Hey, Chip,
I need golf update, by the way.
Golf update.
Golf, they're playing out in Texarkana Conference USA tournament today. Day 2 is very close to being wrapped up. Middle is in 4th place at 11 over par. Louisiana Tech is at 2 under, but then it's a logjam. Liberty at 6 over, Sam Houston 9 over, Middle 11 over, UTEP 12 over, Western 15 over. Now here's the format in Conference USA golf. They play 3 rounds of stroke play, so it really all you want to do is finish in the top 4. And then on Thursday, it's match play to win it. And
so 1 and 4, 2 and 3.
Correct.
And then okay. And then they finish up on Friday then, or do they play?
No, they'll play it all on Thursday.
Oh wow.
And so you've got and Coach McIntyre really likes that format. We don't see a lot of match play in our world a lot of times, but he said he loves the competitiveness of it and the head-to-head play, and he feels like he's got some gamers that when they get head-to-head that it really kind of plays into their hands.
Awesome.
It's a different beast. Hey, Chip, real quick before we get you out of here, NFL draft this weekend. Any chatter at MTSU football by chance?
Not a ton. Teldrick Ross is a guy that I've seen a little bit of chatter about. But really that would Trey Fluellen, whether he is drafted late or becomes a free agent. He had a bad injury last year, 2/3 of the way through the year. But I ran into him the other day, and he says he's 100%, and he's been working out, and that is an absolute dream of his, is to be able to play in the National Football League. So he's given it everything he's had, and I really hope that he gets it. And he's really not hung up on whether it's being drafted or whether he signs a free agent deal with a team that's a great fit. And sometimes if you get in those late rounds, you'd almost rather not be drafted and be signed by a team where you are a good fit and where they have a need for your skill set.
Absolutely. Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA of Columbia, as he does almost every Tuesday.
Unless I don't.
Unless you don't.
That's right.
We appreciate it as always, and we'll keep that where sympathy is located between us, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you, man.
See you,
Wade.
When we come back here on Main Street Sports today, as we return to the Lee Company studios of our respective homes, it will be time for the grab bag as Wade and I kind of tie up some loose ends before we head into Top 5 Tuesday at the end of the show. So stay with us on the other side of this break. We'll be right back.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, that's Wade Neely, and it's time for the grab bag. As we didn't get to touch on it yesterday, I guess, Wade, but we probably should. So Matt Ryan yesterday signed a one-day contract with the Atlanta Falcons and then announced his retirement.
Right off into the sunset.
Yep, wrapping up a 14-year professional career, all but one of those with the Falcons, including that fateful Super Bowl that you still continue to see memes about with the 28-3 stuff. I think some people kind of forget the significance of Matt Ryan's career in Atlanta because he came in where that franchise was really at a crossroads after the Michael Vick situation. And, you know, I just don't know that anybody could have stepped into that situation and done a better job under the circumstances than he did. 120 and 102 over his career with the Falcons, 6 playoff appearances in 14 years. Holds every major franchise passing record for the Falcons. Just short of 60,000 yards for his career, 367 touchdowns, 65.5% completions, and the longest pass completion in franchise history of 93 yards. So, offensive rookie of the year in 08, all-pro offensive player of the year, and NFL MVP all in 2016. 4-time Pro Bowler. And I don't know, maybe because he did it in Atlanta, it doesn't necessarily get all of the notice that it should, but you gotta ask the question, is Matt Ryan a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I mean, that is going to be the big question, and he's certainly going to be a hotly debated Hall of Fame selection or omission, one way or the other, right? It seems like he's right on that cusp for a lot of folks, and it's going to be very interesting. I love this, by the way. Spent last year working for CBS Sports. Brilliant move, bag secured, as we love to talk about. Because by waiting a year, he guaranteed another $12 million from a paycheck from the Colts, which is a savvy move for Mr. Ryan, who earned $306 million in his NFL career. Only Aaron Rodgers with $343 and Matt Stafford with $328 and Tom Brady with $318 have made more. So 4th most earnings all time. And yeah, I mean, that is going to be, you just rattled off those stats, and to the blind resume, kind of smells like a Hall of Famer to me.
It does. It does. I'll tell you what, $360 career earnings kind of smells like a Hall of Famer too.
And if that Super Bowl goes a million different directions, all of which almost all end up with the Falcons actually winning that game instead, I think it's a slam dunk at that point.
Yeah, you're
right?
probably not even having the conversation if that had been the case. Yeah. Thanks, Kyle Shanahan. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So that's going to be really, really contested in about 5 years, as Matt Ryan, at the peak of his powers, he was a really, really, really good NFL quarterback. I don't think there's any debating that. And it kind of is a little unfortunate. Obviously, he's got the taint from that Super Bowl, but also has kind of
no real fault of his own.
Right. And then also at the end of his career, there were kind of a few clunkers, but I mean, the same can be said for several of these guys that already are in the Hall of Fame already. So heck of a run. And like I said, I love the finesse, just getting the one last paycheck, and he's going to ride off into the sunset. I feel like we definitely have not heard the last of Matt Ryan. I haven't actually heard if he's going to come back to CBS or not. But I presume that is going to be there for the taking if he wants to continue in the analyst role. So
if not CBS, certainly somewhere else, if that's
right.
what he wants to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think solid career. And gun to my head right now, you just rattled off those stats. I'm inclined to give him the nod, but I know obviously he's going to be one of those that's right there on the cusp and kind of hotly debated.
I think you're absolutely right. Speaking of debates, excuse me, there's a piece on CBSSports.com. Tyreek Hill apparently said on a podcast, he was asked what kind of numbers he put up if he had to face Deion Sanders in his prime. I'm putting 175 on Deion easy. 175, 2 touchdowns. I don't know if he's putting 175 on Deion, but I'm not just going to categorically tell you he wouldn't either.
Well, I mean, the beauty of Tyreek Hill's game, right, is he could get 175. He could get 88 of that on one play if it goes right. Yeah. He's got that big play potential.
He's got the big play potential. He's got the speed. And I just don't know really with all due respect to Coach Prime and an NFL Hall of Famer himself, I just don't know that he faced anybody with that kind of speed when he was playing. I mean, the biggest part of the time, Dion was the fastest guy on the field. And I'm not sure that that would necessarily be the case here.
It would be a fun matchup. Obviously, we're dealing a crazy hypothetical here. I do love his quote too. He said he would be so disrespectful with it. Said he would do the strut in the end zone that Dion made so famous, and so this would be fun to watch. I'm with you. I do see Reek's kind of argument, so to speak, here. He says he's quicker and more agile because he's smaller. You might think a guy, like a Mike Evans or somebody, just a real kind of genetic freak would really maybe potentially be the one to give Prime some trouble. But Tyreek went the opposite route, said because he's so small and got that quick twitch about him that he thinks a screen. And like you said, I love the fact that he threw the actual numbers out on there because, he catches a screen. I mean, Prime just accidentally gets blocked. I mean, one thing goes wrong, and guess what? Tyreek's got an 84-yard touchdown, and there's over half of his yards right there.
Yeah. Well, Tyreek also had 1,799 receiving yards last year, so it's not necessarily out of the realm of possibility, I don't think. But yeah, you're right. I mean, clearly it's not something we'll ever see. We won't be able to get a conclusive answer to it, but it's certainly fun to talk about and think about, I guess. So,
and hopefully, I would assume, maybe not given his current role these days. Maybe we'll get a retort from Dion, and I'm sure it will be entertaining if and when we do get said reply.
Maybe we'll get a retort from Dion. I think it's just a matter of time. Yeah. So, Dion dealing with some portal issues right now, but I'm sure he'll get around to it at some point. We talked to Ben Arthur earlier in the show about draft prospects across the AFC South. We didn't get into third day possibilities, but apparently a local product has been mentioned as a possibility for the Colts. I would hate this if it were to actually come about. Former Spring Hill standout Dante Smith, who played his college ball down at Georgia Tech, had a fantastic senior year once they realized that they should be giving him the ball. Drawing some interest from the Colts, in addition to the Chargers, Broncos, and Bengals, as probably a third-day pick, 6th, 7th round, according to some reports around the league. So tune in on Saturday. You might hear a local.
Yeah, it'd be fun to see him get picked up, and obviously, even if he doesn't get picked up, really more so in the NBA. But Chip made a great point a minute ago. Sometimes at the back end of the draft, you're better off not getting picked and then just kind of going to a team of your choosing or a team that is choosing you as a free agent signing. So I feel like he's probably going to end up at least in a camp or a pickup of some sort.
Yeah, without question. Like you said, you've got a little bit more flexibility. You can, kind of study some rosters and that kind of thing and figure out where might be a good fit for you, like Chip said, for your skills. And so, the way the draft breaks down these days, with the first round on Thursday, this second and third on Friday, and then 4 through 7 on Saturday. If you've not gone by Friday, you might just kind of be hoping really to not get picked and sign with somebody as a free agent. So that'll be worth keeping an eye on.
Got to call a couple of his games when he was in high school, the last few years that Giles County played Spring Hill, and Spring Hill had no business being in either of those games. But I will never forget the two games that we got to broadcast, as they put up a lot of points again against the Giles County team that didn't give up a lot of points to a lot of other teams that year. So that kind of speaks to his career and kind of what you could kind of see that he was going to be destined for big things. And it was fun to watch him these last couple of years at Georgia Tech.
First game I saw him, I had just gotten to Columbia and was covering a game in 16, I guess, Spring Hill up at Lipscomb Academy. And he just ran through them like water through a sieve. I mean, it was amazing to watch, and it's just fun when you get to see somebody do that kind of thing at the high school level, and then you fast forward 5, 6, 7 years, and you're talking about him as a potential draftee, that kind of thing. So wishing him all the best, however that comes, whether it be draft or free agent or whatever else. And again, we'll be keeping an eye on that as well. The transfer portal never stops. John L. Davis, who arose to stardom, I guess, with Florida Atlantic's Final Four run last year, apparently is down to Kentucky and Arkansas. Not a bad couple of options there, I don't guess. And I guess testing Calipari's chops early, huh?
Yeah, big recruiting battle. And that's a guy that and there's some chatter for reasons, maybe why he did not have Michigan in his Final Three. That was one of the guys that Michigan was really hoping to get when they hired Dusty May to come on. And so the fact that it's down to those two kind of lets you know that, yeah, this guy has got some game, and it's going to be talk about a fun little recruiting battle. Even that's one, if you're Pope at Kentucky, even if you don't have a fit, which obviously you do, but even if it's a kid that you didn't necessarily have a fit, if it's down to you in Arkansas, if you can just win that battle right there, like I said, even if this is a kid that's going to be your last man on the bench, if you can just say, hey, I recruited Cal for this kid, it doesn't buy you. You're never fully off the hot seat with Big Blue Nation, but at least would put you in a little bit better good graces.
Ought to buy you a little bit of time in hashtag BBN. Wade, you got your Caitlin Clark Indiana Fever jersey yet?
Not just yet, but I have seen a couple pics of the jerseys, which sold out, in the 24 hours or less on Fanatics. And I've seen a couple Angel Reese Chicago Sky jerseys floating around. I'm an Aces guy, so I give Caitlin her props, but she's gonna have to earn them points when the Aces take her on. But don't have it yet. But isn't it wild to see that the buzz is just like continuously rolling. We've talked about it obviously with Doug Feinberg from the AP. I love the fact that we just really get this instant carryover from college basketball straight into the WNBA now.
Absolutely. And as well it should. And hopefully the WNBA, as we've said before, can continue to capitalize on the popularity of women's college basketball and get their game up as well along those lines. So
first preseason game is next Friday. Fever at 7 p.m. versus the Dallas Wings. So fans that are wanting to see Caitlin in action, just next week they get things rolling.
There we go. We're going to take a quick break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back to the Lee Company Studios, it's Top 5 Tuesday. Wade and I will give you our top 5 NBA draft busts. Stay with us.
I'm Maurice Patton, and on Main Street Sports Today, we bring you the voices of your favorite teams from preps to pros.
Otherwise known as the Vot, Mike Keith.
The bottom line is we can teach Will Levis woke.
I just don't know who's going to work with you on your base stealing now that Eli's gone.
Well, that has nowhere to go but up. And I was just like, oh, guys, not again. Can we just bury that, burn that footage, and not bring it back?
No. No.
Thank you. We'll keep it going past the All-Star break, and looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. There's always a good story to tell.
Can you guess where I am today, Mo? Where am I?
It's not Reese Smith Field, is it?
Yeah.
Because anytime you play Chicago, you want to win. That's just
you got that right, and
that's bottom line.
Be a buzz.
When you're walking the dog, you keep the bags that you need for the dog in the bag, and you don't even have to wear it. You can just hold it, which is what I do when I walk the dog. So
I think the fanny pack probably needed a little rebranding.
It did. It really did.
On your show logo, we've got to get a puck in there. There's a basketball. There's a football.
There's a baseball. Maybe if not a puck, how about Mo brandishes a hockey stick?
Tune in daily at 2 p.m. on Main Street Media TV.
We're back. It's the final segment of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. And again, it's the final segment of Top 5 Tuesday. So it's got to be Top 5 Tuesday, brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness. 2 locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia. Whatever shape it is that you're in, Dallas Steel will get you in a better one. You can find them at Steel Athletes, STEEL athletes.com. Wade, NBA draft busts. 5 of them. Try not to replicate any of mine.
Well,
Who's your number one?
It's going to be impossible. And I know who you're going to take number one. So I'll
No, you don't.
Oh, okay. Well, then if you're going to give me the easy one, then I'll take 2 years prior to my arrival on planet Earth, the Portland Trailblazers made arguably the biggest draft flub in NBA history when they drafted Sam Bowie. He was 7'1", Mo. I mean, what could you possibly get wrong with Sam? Oh yeah, there was a guy that goes 2 picks later by the name of Michael Jordan, and that's really all you need to say about that.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Here's my thing there. Bowie was plagued by injuries. Now, he wasn't going to be better than Michael Jordan had he been healthy, but I have a tough time slapping bust on guys who weren't necessarily available because they weren't healthy. So I never really considered Bowie. Excuse me. Didn't consider Greg Oden for that same reason. So, but as I was doing my show prep for this particular segment, there is a guy named Rod Griffin who played at Wake Forest. In 1977, he led the Atlantic Coast Conference both in scoring and rebounding, and obviously was the conference player of the year. He was the number 17 overall pick by the Denver Nuggets in 1978. Signed a $1 million contract, a no-cut contract. That's $1 million in 1978, by the way. Cut him before he played a single minute in a regular season game. It was worth $1 million to them for him to not play. Now, that's, to me, setting the bar for busts right there. We're going to pay you to go home, bro.
Yeah, no, don't even bother showing up.
Yeah, you know what? We're good. We're good.
We
took you with the number 17 pick overall. We paid you $1 million. Go home. Yeah. So, number two.
I have vivid memories. Our good friend of the show, Scott Combs, his wife, Ashley Combs, was working at UNLV, and during the 2013 NBA draft, everybody was stunned when Anthony Bennett was chosen number 1, including Ashley. Shout out Ashley Combs. And then Bill Simmons of ESPN fame at the time famously just blurted out on air. He said, "Whoa!" He couldn't believe that the Cavs had gone into the bag and picked Anthony Bennett, who had a very uninspiring NBA career. But the fact that even somebody that worked at UNLV thought that it was a bit of a stretch right there, that kind of told me all I needed to know. Poor Anthony Bennett, who still plays overseas, but has not been seen in an NBA uniform since 2017 after a short 4-year career.
You know who else was shocked by that pick? The Milwaukee Bucks. You know who they took? Giannis.
Say less.
Yeah, exactly. My number 2, Chris Washburn out of NC State, was supposed to be the next great big man. Literally smoked his way out of the league. So there you go. Number 3.
Up next for me, 2003. You talk about draft classes. This is one of the all-time great draft classes. LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade. Those are 4 of the top 5 picks. And I personally was so excited to see what Darko Milicic was going to do in the NBA. I thought all 5 of those guys were going to go on to be Hall of Famers. One of them was not.
4 out of 5 ain't bad.
And it was Darko Milicic. So the Pistons, who select Milicic, passed on Anthony, Bosh, and Wade. And in 2003, I will never forget that draft.
Oof, that's bad. My number 3, Michael Jordan agrees with me. Kwame Brown to the Wizards. Now, in that guy's defense, he was coming straight out of high school.
Yeah.
But still, yeah, Kwame Brown is my number 3. Go ahead.
This one pains me a little bit, but how about Robert Tractor Trailer, rest in peace, going to the Bucks in 98. And again, it's one of those, this is a little bit tough to surmise, but he becomes an NBA journeyman. But the fact that Milwaukee had a guy by the name of Dirk Nowitzki right there waiting on them, and they go with Tractor Trailer. I said, Michigan guy, rest in peace. But man, it was when you look back on these things, certainly seems like a bust in that regard.
In that same draft that you just referenced, the Los Angeles Clippers took number 1 overall, Michael Olowokandi out of Pacific.
The Candy Man.
He was supposed to be the next great big man. Earned 2.5 win shares over his career, compared to Nowitzki's 174.
Golly.
Yeah. So, there's my number 4. Number 5.
Last but not least, this literally is going to make me break down in tears on air, but I will never forget. I was at the ESPN zone in Las Vegas, which is now defunct. And I cried that night when the Grizzlies, obviously they lost the lottery. They didn't get Blake Griffin, but instead they drafted Hasheem Thabit. And
out of UConn.
It was one of those picks where everybody says, please do not draft this guy. Please do not draft this guy.
And they did it anyway.
And they drafted this guy. I'm sure he's a great gentleman, and I hope he's doing well. But, man, I was really, really disappointed that the Grizzlies took Hasheem Thabit 2nd overall in 2009.
One of the latest can't-miss guys coming out of Gonzaga, led them to the national championship game that lost to, I think it was Duke. Adam Morrison was brutal as a professional. And I don't know if it's just that, he didn't have anything to play for or how that worked, but he was not very good and wasn't in the league for very long. Adam Morrison is my final NBA draft bust. So
brief career with the Bobcats and then with the Lakers.
And brief, both of them. So there's our Top 5 Tuesday this week, again brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness. 2 locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia. Be sure and check them out at Steel Athletes, STEEL athletes.com. Tomorrow, we will be checking in with Heather Williams, talking a little NASCAR, and guest number 2. Check in with us at 2 o'clock, see what we come up with. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. This is Main Street Sports Today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We will see y'all tomorrow at 2 o'clock right here in the Lee Company studios.